Then we have a bunch of developer services. We have a managed low-code service called Apex, several other developer services, and a managed Terraform service called Resource Manager. For analytics, we have a managed analytics service called Oracle Analytics Cloud that integrates with various third-party solutions. Under application services, we have a managed serverless offering called Functions, an API gateway, and an events service to help you create microservices and event-driven architectures.
Vamos para tantito, sí, tengo el micrófono abierto, sí. Observen cómo casi todos concuerdan, todos los proveedores concuerdan en casi la misma estructura de lo que es el servicio de la nube. Y bueno, uno en principio debería suponer que así debería de ser, porque si todos están basando en el modelo de servicio de la NID o del NIST, ¿no? Que ya hemos visto en clases anteriores, pues todos deben tener una concordancia en ese sentido, ¿no? Y bueno, en este caso Oracle, pues no es la excepción. Cuando entremos a Azure, bueno, eso es como siempre quieren hacer cosas diferentes, ¿no? Pero, y me falta la parte de Google, pero ahí tuve un problema porque me autorizaron el acceso, me dieron hasta un crédito por $100 para consumos ahí, pero no logro entrar porque le di la cuenta institucional y cuando entro a la cuenta institucional no me la quieren autenticar. A ver si en estos días lo puedo resolver. Por lo pronto, hoy en estos 2 días es con la gente de Oracle, ¿no? La gente de Oracle es muy interesante porque es como todos los proveedores, comienzan con un producto y tienen que ir evolucionando, tienen que ir innovando, ¿no? Si Oracle nace desde luego con el desarrollo de base de datos en on-premise, o sea, en sitio, y después se extrapola y da servicios ya llave en mano o desarrollados para la empresa, como son sistemas integrales de información, como son ERP, CRMs, corriendo en línea, en nube o no, etcétera, etcétera. Y hoy en día, bueno, entra la parte oficial de computación en la nube desde el punto de vista de la NIS, ¿no? Pero observen todos los bloques que estuvo hablando el autor y todos coinciden de alguna manera con lo que ya hemos visto hasta hoy, que es de AWS, ¿no? O sea, en mayor o menor medida hay una concordancia. Que si es administrado o no es administrado, que si tú lo quieres hacer todo o no, como ahorita va a empezar a hablar del portafolio del SaaS, ¿no? Está hablando del portafolio del SaaS, que es finalmente llave en mano, es decir, úsalo y ya, ¿no? Y no te preocupes de nada, úsalo y ya. O sea, no te preocupes de las partes más del core de infraestructura, nada de eso. Es administrado por Oracle de la misma manera que AWS. O quieres un no administrado y tú quieres hacer todo como quieras, ¿no? El enfoque son prácticamente los mismos.
We have a comprehensive connected SaaS suite across your entire business: finance, human resources, supply chain, manufacturing, advertising, sales, customer service, and marketing, all running on OCI. That's a long list, and these 7 categories and the services mentioned represent just a small fraction of more than 80 services currently available in OCI. Fortunately, it is quick and easy to try out a new service using our industry-leading free tier account. We are the first cloud to offer a server for just a penny per core hour. Whether you are starting with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure or migrating your entire data center to it, we can support you in your journey to the cloud. That's it. OCI, a broad and deep cloud platform. Thanks for watching. Welcome to this lesson on OCI architecture. In this lesson, we will cover the core constructs of OCI's physical architecture, starting with regions. Region is a localized geographic area comprising of one or more availability domains. Availability domains are one or more fault-tolerant data centers located within a region but connected to each other by a low latency, high bandwidth network. fault domains is a grouping of hardware and infrastructure within an availability domain to provide anti-affinity. So think about these as logical data centers. We looked at it in the previous lesson. Today OCI has a massive geographic footprint around the world with multiple regions across the world, and we also have a multi-cloud partnership with Microsoft Azure, and we have a differentiated hybrid cloud offering called Dedicated Region Cloud at Customer. But before we dive into the physical architecture, let us look at how do you choose a region. First thing is choosing a region. You choose a region closest to your users for lowest latency and highest performance. So that's a key criteria. The second key criteria is data residency and compliance requirements. Many countries have strict data residency requirements and you have to comply to them, and so you choose a region based on these compliance requirements. The third key criteria is service availability. New cloud services are made available based on regional demand, at times regulatory compliance reasons, and resource availability, and several other factors. Keep these three criteria in mind when choosing a region. So let's look at each of these in a little bit more detail. Availability domain. Availability domains are isolated from each other, fault tolerant, and very unlikely to fail simultaneously. Because availability domains do not share physical infrastructure such as power or cooling or the internal network, a failure that impacts one availability domain is unlikely to impact the availability of others. So as you can see in this graphic here, a particular region has 3 availability domains. One availability domain has some kind of an outage, is not available, but the other 2 availability domains are still up and running. We talked about fault domains a little bit earlier. What are fault domains? Think about each availability domain has 3 fault domains. So think about fault domains as logical data centers within availability domains. So as you can see in the picture here, we have 3 availability domains and each of them has 3 fault domains. So the idea is you put the resources in different fault domains and they don't share single point of hardware failure like physical servers, physical rack, top of rack switches, or power distribution units. You can get high availability by leveraging fault domains. We also leverage fault domains for our own services. So in any region, resources in at most one fault domain are being actively changed at any point in time. This means that availability problems caused by change procedures are isolated at the fault domain level, and moreover you can control the placement of your compute or database instances to fault domain at instance launch time. So you can specify which fault domain you want to use. So what is the general guidance? The general guidance is we have these constructs like fault domains and availability domains to help you avoid single points of failure. We do that on our own, so we make sure that the servers, the top of rack switch, all are redundant, so you don't have hardware failures, or we try to minimize those hardware failures as much as possible. You need to do the same when you are designing your own architecture. So let's look at an example. You have a region, you have an availability domain, and as we said, one AD has 3 fault domains, so you see those fault domains here. So first thing you do is when you create an application, you create this software defined virtual network, and then let's say it's a very simple application. You have an application tier, you have a database tier. So first thing you could do is you could run multiple copies of your application. So you have an application tier which is replicated across fault domains, and then you have a database which is also replicated across fault domains. Why do you do that? Well, it gives you that extra layer of redundancy. So something happens to a fault domain, your application is still up and running. Now to take it to the next step, you could replicate the same design in another availability domain. So you could have 2 copies of your application running, and you can have 2 copies of your database running. Now one thing which will come up is how do you make sure your data is synchronized between these copies, and so you could use various technologies like Oracle Data Guard to make sure that your primary and standby, the data is kept in sync here. And so that you can design your application, your architectures like these to avoid single points of failure. Even for regions where we have a single availability domain, you could still leverage fault domain construct to achieve high availability and avoid single points of failure. Let's summarize what we learned in this lesson. So we looked at region. Region comprises of availability domains. Availability domains comprise of fault domains. So let's look at the inside out view. So first let's start with fault domain. Fault domain provide protection against failure within an availability domain. Availability domain themselves provide protection from entire availability domain failures, particularly in a multi-AD region. And then you have this concept of region pair, where in every country we operate, or most of the countries we operate, we have at least 2 data centers. So you could use the second data center for disaster recovery or backup, or it also helps you to comply with data residency and compliance requirements. And then not only this, we also have SLAs on availability, management, and performance. To recap, we looked at the physical architecture of OCI with regions, which are geo locations. We looked at availability domains, and then every availability domain has 3 fault domains. So use these architectural constructs to design your applications which are highly available and avoid single points of failure. Thanks for watching.
Rápido, no, hombre. Ese es como hindú. A ver lo que estaba. Creo que necesita, a ver si aquí lo logro ver. Y las similitudes continúan en el sentido de los elementos que. Y tengo abierto mi micrófono, sí. Los elementos que se utilizan para, o la infraestructura que se utiliza para el despliegue, ¿no? del servicio por parte de AWS, que ya lo vimos, y por parte de Oracle, que son muy similares. El primero es entonces dividir a todo el mundo en regiones, ¿no? Eso lo hizo también AWS. Después, cada región tiene una subdivisión. Aquí en este caso habla de dominios por tolerancia a fallos o dominios de disponibilidad, ¿no? O un dominio de disponibilidad 1 tiene varios dominios, subdominios de tolerancia a fallos, ¿no? En el caso de AWS, ¿se acuerdan ustedes que después de regiones venían zonas, y de zonas venían los puntos finales, los edge point, ¿no? Entonces, la infraestructura es más o menos la misma, ¿no? Ir centralizando y focalizando el cliente geográficamente, ¿no? Y darle, con esa focalización geográfica, darles dos elementos muy importantes que aquí estuvieron mencionando. Déjenme ver si aquí en este latinamos. Este elemento de latencia, ¿no? Es decir, entre más cerca estemos del punto de servicio, eliminaremos o mitigaremos que tengamos una pérdida de latencia, ¿no? Porque estamos en la misma ciudad o muy cerca de la ciudad, ¿no? O muy cerca del centro de la república, algo, ¿no? Tenemos una latencia muy baja, como dice aquí. Este es el primer punto. Y el segundo punto, déjenme ver si aquí está, si no es lo que estaba comentando al final el hombre, es el de evitar un solo punto de fallo, ¿no? Sí, claro, ellos se están yendo, igual que en el caso de AWS, están yendo por la parte de cómo evitar tolerancia a fallos, pues tener componentes redundantes, ¿no? Esa es una alternativa, tener componentes redundantes, ¿no? Y suponen que un componente redundante puede estar dentro de la misma zona de dominio, bueno, la misma dominio de disponibilidad, ¿no? O estar en un dominio distinto de disponibilidad, que es lo que sugería también AWS, ¿no? Para tener redundancia y tolerancia a fallo. Entonces usemos dos zonas distintas dentro de la misma región, ¿no? Y ya sería el colmo, bueno, no el colmo, sino también dentro de dos regiones, pues ya todo eso va encareciendo el diseño de cada uno de ustedes. Aquí, por ejemplo, ¿no? Y se vuelve a tener redundancia, pero en dos dominios de disponibilidad, ¿no? Los mismos dos dominios de fallo, pero en diferentes dominios de disponibilidad. En AWS dijimos en dos zonas distintas, pero dentro de toda la misma región geográfica. Entonces, se dan cuenta ustedes, los elementos son muy, muy parecidos, ¿no? No sé si, ¿qué más hay aquí? Algo más y ya nos vamos, que ahora son 8, 9, 22. Viene ahí un skill check. Bueno, vamos a pasarlo, no me sé que nos va a ir mal. Oracle Cloud Free Tier Account. Vamos a ver qué nos dice este cuate, ¿no?
Welcome. In this lesson, I'm going to walk you through the process of creating an Oracle Cloud free tier account. But before we do that, let us first discuss what is Oracle Cloud free tier. Oracle Cloud free tier allows you to sign up for an Oracle Cloud account, which provides a number of always free services and a free trial with $300 of free credit to
Igual,
use on
igual que en
all
AWS.
eligible OCI services for up to 30 days. So it's a combination of two different things. Let's talk a little bit more about these. The always free services are available for an unlimited period of time for anyone. The free trial, on the other hand, has to be used until your $300 of free credits are consumed or the 30 days has expired, whichever comes first. So the process of creating Oracle Cloud free tier account is pretty straightforward. Let me walk you through it. So here I'm on the URL on the web page oracle.com/cloud/free, and you can see this button here which says start for free. If I had an existing account, I would click here sign into Oracle Cloud, and that would let me into my actual account. I don't have one. I'm going to walk you through how to create one for free. So let me click on this button here. And as I do that, it's asking me for a few key information. The first thing is my country, and let me just click here. Then it's asking to provide a name,
Rojita. Right.
and it's asking
Right.
for an email ID.
Indum.
And down here you see a CAPTCHA, a challenge response form to verify that automated bots are not misusing this system. So I click here saying I'm a human, and then when I do that, it's asking me to verify that it's the typical traditional CAPTCHA challenge. So it says please click each image containing a bot. Let me make sure that I can verify all the bots here. This is a bot.
That's it.
This might be a bot. Click next. Containing a boat, definitely a boat, definitely a boat here, boat here, boat here, and verify. And this should let me in, verifying that I'm a human. And then I need to verify my email. So click here, and it would send me an email to with a verification step asking me to verify that, and that's the first step in opening an account. So let me pause the video here and verify my email account. I just verified my email ID, and now it's asking me to provide more information here. So first thing I need to do is enter a valid password. So let me type one here, and it's happy with that password. Let me just confirm it again. All right, and then it's asking me for a company name. Provide that here, and it's asking for a cloud account name. Now this account might not be available, so let me use one we are going to use for this training course. This is an OCI Foundations training, and then my home region, it's asking me to select home region, and let's scroll down here and choose in North America. So I'll choose the region closest to me, would be US West, San Jose. So I would choose that. So click continue. And then the next step would be to input all my information here. So let me just put my office location. I need to provide my phone number. And now it's asking to add a payment verification method. So I need to provide my credit card number here. And then the credit card is not charged unless you elect to upgrade this account. So I can say credit card here. And I need to add a credit card number here. I'll add a Visa card.
Mm. Mm.
Okay, let me share.
Mhm.
And now I need to click on this box here which says I agree to this the terms and conditions here, and you can read more on the terms and conditions if you want. There are links here so you can read more on here. All the information is seems correct. I included my card, and now click on start my free trial account, and at this point it should open my own free trial tier account, which is always free, and the free trial with $300 to be consumed within 30 days. And once this process is done, it might take a couple of minutes, I will have Oracle Cloud free tier account. It looks like as I was doing that, it took me a few seconds, and here I am. This is my Oracle Cloud account. I hope you found this lesson useful. Thanks for watching.
Ok, el walkthrough. La última y nos vamos, como dice, ¿no?
Welcome back. In this lesson, we will look at how you can get started with the OCI console. So the first thing you do to access the OCI console is go to cloud.oracle.com and click on your cloud account name here. In one of the previous videos, we opened a free tier account and we named the account as OCI Foundations Training, as this is part of the OCI Foundations Training. So I have provided the cloud account name here, and then you click next. As you do that, it's going to ask me for a username and password. We could also do identity federation, single sign-on, but that is beyond the scope of this intro course. So we're going to skip it, and I'm just going to provide my username here. Now, this is the username I used with this particular account, and let me input my password. And with this, I am authenticated to the web console. So what is this web console? Web console is the simple and intuitive web-based user interface you can use to access and manage Oracle Cloud infrastructure. So as I provide my username and password, I'm authenticated. I'm in the web console here. Let me quickly walk you through some of the key characteristics of the console and some of the things which can uh, help you get started quickly. So right here on the left navigation bar, you see this icon. If you click on that, it will bring up the service navigation pane, and you can see all the major categories of services we have, starting with compute, storage, networking, databases, and some of the other services. If you want to go and access individual features or individual services within a category, just click here, for example, on compute, and I can bring up instances. I could spin up and create instances here, manage them here, or I could also bring up a service which is part of compute called OS management. I could work on those. And if you are a few layers deep here and you want to go back to the main menu, just click on this icon again and it brings you back to the service navigation pane. So this is the pane which you would be using a lot as we go through and do various demos. This would be our starting point. So this is number one. Number two, I want to show you this feature around search. So if I want to search for any resources, I could come here and I could search for those resources. For example, if I want to look at who my users are in this particular tenancy, I can provide the keyword as users, and this would bring up the list of all the users which exist in this tenancy right now. I am the administrator, tenancy administrator, so my name is listed here. There are no other users right now. So search is really handy when you really need to quickly discover something. You can do simple searches as well as you can do complex searches using something called advanced resource query, and we'll look into it subsequently. The third thing I want to talk about are the regions. If you click on the region here, this is my home region. Home region is the region which you provide when you sign up for an account. And you can see the home region is listed here. But I can get access to other regions as well. as you click on that, you can see that there are many regions available in the US and throughout the world. If I want to subscribe to a particular region, I could just hit subscribe here, and this would let me subscribe to that particular region, meaning I can go and create resources in those regions. We'll look into this in some of the subsequent demos. For now, I'm okay with just having access to just one region, which is my home region here. I also have this thing here, which is the Cloud Shell. And the Cloud Shell is a web browser-based terminal accessible from the Oracle Cloud Console, as you can see here. In the background, the Cloud Shell is a small virtual machine which runs a bash shell which you access to the OCI console, and you can use it to run commands. You really don't need to install. The CLI is pre-installed here, the OCI command line interface, so you don't have to do that local installation. So think about accessing resources in the browser, and you can stay in the browser. You don't need any kind of local machine dependency to SSH into your Linux machines or run any kind of CLI locally on your machine. You could use the Cloud Shell for all those activities. Then right here is the icon on announcements. And if there are announcements on OCI, they are all listed here. So to know all the things in OCI, you could just click here and see what new things have appeared. There's a help icon here, which you can use to create support requests. You can view those support requests, and you could also request service limits increase using these links here. So some really handy links for support. There is also a live chat option, and this in the background runs Oracle Digital Assistant. And for anything, any kind of help you need with your tenancy or just in general, you're looking for resources, you could use the virtual digital assistant for that. Then you can change the languages. I think today we support 29 languages, and the list keeps increasing. So if you want to change language, the browser language to another language other than English, you can do that by clicking the drop down here. And finally, there is my user profile here. I am the tenancy administrator. So if I click on user settings here, I can see some of the quick settings for my account. I can enable multi-factor authentication. And that's a good best practice to enforce. We'll talk about that in a subsequent lesson. And I can get some more information here, things like my authentication tokens, etc. So this is just a quick walkthrough of the OCI console. Thanks for watching.
Ok, vamos a dejarlo ahí. Y todos los demás que podemos ir viendo con calma. Yo creo que mañana nos vamos a enfocar al de Hay muchos y bueno, mañana todavía tengo libre. Hasta ahorita sí, vamos a ver si no se ocupa porque no he agendado a varios que me faltan todavía. No he tenido tiempo de hacerlo, a ver si los agendo. Pero, a ver. Es que este viernes tengo que cancelar todos los del viernes. Nada más está en el grupo de las 2. Tengo que hablar con ellos pero ahorita con ustedes no tengo nada programado para las 9. Como no voy a estar el viernes, me parece bien. Entonces, nada más tenemos el día de mañana, martes. Y yo creo que de todo lo que está aquí, que todos son muy interesantes, la parte de identificación, yo creo que nos vamos a entrar en la parte de networking. Creo que es una parte, porque la parte de compute se asemeja mucho a lo que han estado haciendo en la parte del semestre pasado, taller 1, pero y de storage también tiene sus diferencias, pero no, yo creo que por tiempo nos vamos a mañana al punto 5 y ustedes lo pueden revisar con calma. Los demás 9, son 12 puntos hasta donde lleguemos entonces. Es el de networking y otro que me parece interesante, el de security. A ver si da tiempo mañana. Networking y security. Porque eso son los detalles que les cuestan más trabajo. Bien, yo creo que es todo. ¿Algún comentario? Somos 17.
No, maestro, por mi parte no. Por el momento no.
Gracias, José. Gracias, Juan. Gracias, porque después nadie contesta. Ok. Bueno. Entonces, si no dispone de otra cosa, nos vemos mañana para seguir con este
Profe,
video.
disculpe, antes de que te...
Dígame.
Es que ya le mandé mensaje para agendar la cita, nada más por si la puede checar.
Sí, lo veo, por eso hace rato comenté que me faltaban algunos todavía.
Ok, gracias,
Y
profe.
hoy tienen que estar, en el transcurso del día, no, antes de las 12 de la noche debe estar, en el transcurso del día se los pongo.
Gracias,
Muy bien,
profe.
Alexis, Magdaleno, Tiburcio. Algo tuvo, me suena, no sé si te mandé un mensaje.
Es que me
eh,
equivoqué y le había puesto un día que
pues
no.
sí, y ya después me dediqué a agendar los demás y ya te bypassé por ahí, pero es que, no, los domingos son para descansar, Alexis. Pero bueno, ok. Sale, pues nos vemos mañana, chicos.
Mañana, profe.
Hasta mañana, buen día.
Mañana, maestro.
Hasta mañana, profe.
Nos vemos.